This video presentation has been classified by the ABC as M. It contains material that is not recommended for persons under 15 years.
As well as watching this vodcast, you can watch Good Game on ABC2 every Monday night at 9 o'clock and ABC1 late on Friday nights after Triple J TV.
Hello and welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Barjo.
I'm Junglist.
It's one of the great game franchises, and finally, the fourth installment is here. Grand Theft Auto 4. Censored slightly for Aussies and reinvented the next gen, but does it live up to expectations?
For years, soccer fans have had to choose between FIFA or Pro Evo, but now a new player takes to the field in the form of UEFA Euro 2008.
And we go gaming with some of Australia's youngest players. But just what are they learning from video games?
Plus, we'll go backwards compatible with the Atari Lynx.
But first, can you guess the game for this week? Alright, I'll help you out, Junglist. Here's a little clue. It's a soccer game.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. Off you go, read the news.
Last week saw the release of Grand Theft Auto 4, but before Rockstar North's latest game had even hit the shelves, video game pirates had already made the game available for download on the internet. The same thing happened on the eve of the release of Bungie's Halo 3 in 2007. Although in an interesting turn of events, most of the culprits were discovered and punished, with Microsoft tracking down any players found to be illegally playing the game before its official launch date via Xbox Live. It seems that some software pirates haven't learned anything from past mistakes, with several Grand Theft Auto thieves logging onto Xbox Live days before the game had officially launched, a move that inadvertently alerted Microsoft and Rockstar Games to their acts of piracy. Microsoft have announced that there will be an ongoing investigation into the incident. Rumors are circulating that game publisher Eidos Interactive are preparing to let go a large proportion of their workforce. Eidos, who are best known for the Tomb Raider series, will reportedly offer redundancies to their entire public relations, sales, and marketing teams. The rumor comes at a time when Eidos' parent company, SCI Entertainment, are attempting to turn around flagging profit margins, and it is thought to be a direct result of a recent investment partnership between SCI and Hollywood powerhouse Warner Brothers. Neither Eidos or SCI have confirmed the rumors, although SCI have gone on the record in saying that this year they plan on cutting their staff by as much as 25% in an effort to reduce production costs and increase profitability. Valve Software's Portal was one of the best and most popular games of last year, but if you're expecting a sequel anytime soon, don't hold your breath. In an interview with British website Eurogamer, Valve Software's marketing director, Doug Lombardi, has revealed that although a sequel to the dimension-bending puzzle game is in the works, Valve Software aren't going to rush the game out to capitalize on their most recent creation's popularity. Lombardi went on to say that Portal 2 won't just be Portal with different colors, and that Valve will be taking as much time as it takes to make this sequel just as revolutionary as its predecessor. Portal 2 is now expected to arrive sometime in 2009 at the earliest. A new study conducted by an American university has discovered that casual games aren't just fun to play, but they also help to relieve stress. The University of East Carolina initiated their study 6 months ago by testing people with games like Bejeweled 2 and Peggle. The results showed that players' physical stress was lowered by as much as 57% when puzzling through Bejeweled, while playing a game like Peggle has the ability to improve your mood, with subjects showing as much as a 500% improvement in overall mood. The study also found links between casual games and a reduction in depression and fatigue levels.
Halfway across the world, beers are being poured out, hopeful fans are looking for their jerseys, and riot squads are in training as it's almost time for the UEFA Euro Cup. Lucky for us, the official game is out early, and it's everything FIFA was 7 months ago, only worse.
As it's made by the same studio, you can expect the same controls and look as FIFA 08. Almost all your favorite countries are there, from the talented but fractured Spain to the mechanical and violent Germany, even the underhanded Oscar nominees Italy.
Junk, I was kind of confused as to why England were in the game because they didn't actually make the UEFA Cup this year.
Which maybe explains one of the features that felt a bit tacked on, which is the qualification mode. It's basically just a soccer competition, but it allows them to include all of the countries. And let's face it, in a game like this, you don't want to exclude England or the other countries.
When the back of the box lists interactive goal celebrations as a main feature, it's a bit of a warning sign. It's a shame it didn't list other features which are actually really cool, such as the way the weather and mud affect your gameplay, and the way your performance in a cup will directly affect your player statistics. Overall, this doesn't have a large impact on the gameplay, but it's something for UEFA fans to get excited about.
All this is trumped, though, when you consider FIFA has the upper hand in almost every other aspect. UEFA is limited to European countries. FIFA has every country and every club team. FIFA has more moves, more options, better commentators, better music, and more things to take into account when you take a shot.
Here's Tim Cahill. Oh, it's the post and stayed out.
I think the main feature that this has over FIFA is that you can support your own country by recording your wins online. The real-life UEFA Cup happens in June, and on June 30 they tally up the online results to see which country is the best at virtual soccer.
In other words, which country bought the most copies of the game.
Did I mention it has interactive goal celebrations?
Let's wrap this up then. Final thoughts?
Well, it's made by the same people as FIFA, but it really feels more like a follower than a leader. I'm giving it 5.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
There's a stigma attached to EA sports games after multiple re-releases of franchise fodder, but the last FIFA was actually pretty good, and the next one's going to have much better manual passing, as well as an online mode where every player in the actual game is a real-life player except for the goalie, which is unprecedented. UEFA is not a bad game by any means, but I'm going to have to rate it as below average, because in this case, the alternatives, Pro Evo and FIFA, just offer you more. I'm giving it 5.5 rubber chickens out of 10 as well.
They did it!
Goal!
They're enjoying themselves now.
Oh, no, it's the other way.
No, it's not. It's this way.
Front.
Really? I've been doing this for years.
Good game. Now it's time for another thrilling episode of Bajo Investigates. The 2007 interactive study showed that almost 75% of Australian households had a device for gaming of some sort. So, it's no surprise that gamers are getting younger and younger. So what is it that drives the littlest gamers to play the games they do? And what sort of involvement should the parents have? Well, I'm going to find out because that's what this segment is called. Bajo Investigates! Okay, come on.
This is Finn. He's 4 and has just discovered the joys of the Wii. And this is Riley, and it seems as though he's been gaming for many years, even though he's only 11. Although they're not the same age, it seems gamers at this end of the spectrum have something in common with gamers of all ages. They want to have fun. What do you like about this game?
Because this game I always win.
Oh, really? Okay, well, we'll see. Was it hard to learn this game?
Yeah,
What was hard about it? Was it just getting used to the wheel?
yeah, because I keep falling off.
Do you use the special powers very much?
Yeah,
Yeah? What's your favourite special power?
I like the lightning one.
What do you like about games?
They're fun, entertaining, and it's good to play with your friends.
Go, son! Go!
That's fine defending. Oh, now he's been given offside.
What are your favourite games?
Simpsons and a car one
Yeah.
and a tennis one.
There's no monkey in it though.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's a monkey in the tennis game?
Yeah.
This is news to me.
Good games for kids are games that bring mum and dad in.
and that mum and dad are willing to play with kids. That's first and foremost.
So do you play games yourself?
I'm afraid I don't, except I do like a SingStar.
Does your son play SingStar with you?
He does, but he likes all the other games as well.
38% of all gamers are parents, and of those, only just over half play regularly with their kids.
X is kick,
Yep.
circle is goal kick.
Yep.
And you think, oh, no, there's a missed opportunity for sort of, coming to some sort of common understanding with your kids, whether they're 4 or 14.
No, I'm the yellow marker, you're the black marker. Get it right, Mum.
I'm trying, Riles, I'm trying.
I got this new game. Do you like that?
Journalist Andrew Parsons set up GameParents.com, an online resource to help parents, teachers and the industry understand the gaming habits of kids.
Every kid's individual, and we say that on Game Parents, that every kid is individual, and you as a parent will actually have the best idea of what's appropriate for your child.
Do you have any rules for how much time he spends playing games?
We don't have a definite rule, but if he's been on there for too long, I tell him to get off.
Is there kicking and screaming?
No, but it's normally, can't I just play it for another half an hour?
Just one more go.
One more go?
One more quest.
Yeah.
Video gaming can be addictive to some kids, so you need to be really careful of making sure that those kids in particular are catered for as a parent, and it's part of your responsibility. So particularly during the week, you want to be looking at trying to restrict the amount of gameplay.
Is it hard to get them to stop playing at any time?
Absolutely, especially when it's a brand new game and they think the game's fantastic and they're right into it. They don't listen. Normal kids.
What benefits do you think Riley gets from playing games?
Well, I think he chills out. I mean, he plays quite a lot of sport, he's outside quite a lot, so this is his sort of downtime, and I think that's good. I think everything in moderation is good for him.
Would you rather see him outside kicking a ball around?
Probably. However, there are times when you can't do that. So if it's raining or, you know, if it's freezing cold, he's not well, then that's a good thing for him to be doing.
In our study, parents were saying things like, look, games are really good for teaching our kids things like science, maths, how to solve problems and strategize. And just looking 10 years into the future, when a lot of younger children now are getting into university, they'll be using systems for learning that have a graphical user interface that is straight out of the visual literacy of games.
As long as parents are aware of what their children are playing, they know whether the games are age appropriate, whether they're actually fitting in with their particular guidance patterns for their children, there is no downside to gaming.
So as well as being fun, it seems younger gamers can actually learn by playing, and that families can have some good quality time when playing together. And with it being in the best interest of the games industry to get as many of us playing as possible, I conclude you may never be too young to own some noobs.
You're a nude, Barjo.
How old were you when you started gaming, Badge?
I was about 10 months, I think, John.
No way.
Yes, ways.
Screenshot or it didn't happen. Well, I wasn't even born yet when I started.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
No ways. Ultrasound or it didn't happen.
Last week, Phase 2 of the Good Game project opened up, and we asked you for your suggestions on what the name of the company should be in Office Wars and what they do as a business.
And we've already had some really great ideas. Templar suggest Robert Chicken Productions, who sabotage other video games by inserting wrong code.
Similian came up with Chaos, located in Silicon Valley, just outside of Davao, a company dedicated to ensuring office chaos.
And Malicious Mallard thought a property development company named All Your Base Are Belong to Us would be a good idea.
Now to this week's task. Office Wars will have role-playing elements in it, which means your character will need to use skills and statistics to progress through the game.
In traditional RPGs, these are things like intelligence, stamina, and strength. But what 5 stats/skills do you think should be in Office Wars?
I reckon ingenuity should be one of them, Badge.
Ingenuity?
Yeah, the ability to combine office materials to make MacGyver-like pranks.
Well, I think it definitely needs piratiness to increase your ability to yar. And that's not really office-related. In fact, I'm not really sure where this pirate obsession of mine comes from, but...
It's just silly.
It's a little bit.
Good game!
games are mind-boggling. You must flex your brain muscle in order to figure out challenging puzzles, riddles, and mysteries. Tonight, we talk with Detris Riddleston. He's a master of all things puzzling.
Yes, I'm simply diabolical.
So, Tetris, why do you play puzzle games?
Because they're a game for those of us who think outside the box.
Oh, so are these puzzles generally quite difficult?
They can be truly dastardly. Almost got it. What? Why didn't it connect 4? I thought this was Tetris. Diabolical!
Sounds like it can really get intense.
Why, yes. These kinds of games can really push you to your mental limits. I sunk your battleship! Tetris, you do realize you're playing Minesweeper. Diabolical.
Wow, you seem like quite the puzzled guy.
Puzzled, eh? We'll see who's puzzled! Yeah!
Diabolical!
Good game.
If you think of a lynx as being a small species of wildcat native to North America, Europe and Asia, then you've obviously never played one of these beauties. It's an Atari Lynx, and it first appeared in late 1989, just a few months after the release of the Nintendo Game Boy. For its time, it was the most advanced handheld console ever built, but what really made the Lynx a milestone in video gaming history is that it was the world's first handheld with a colour LCD screen. Now, while its distinct lack of fur, claws and whiskers did inhibit its ability to survive in the wilderness, unlike its slightly more feline namesake, the Atari Lynx did have some pretty cool games to make up for its lack of survival instincts. Since it was created by Atari, the Lynx had access to many of the famed company's best arcade games, including ports of classics like insectoid shooter Centipede, Cops and Robbers Simulator APB, and the maze-running alien blaster Zybots. One of the best early Atari-made games for the Lynx was Rampart, a medieval-themed arcade game that was half shooter and half Tetris-style puzzle game. At the start of each game, you'd pick a site to build your castle, then attempt to sink a hostile armada hell-bent on destroying your ramparts with cannonballs. If you succeeded, you had a limited amount of time to rebuild the castle and its defences using Tetris-like shapes. Another arcade classic that made the transition to the Lynx's small screen was Atari's 4-player dungeon crawler, Gauntlet. It featured all the top-down ghoul fighting action you could handle, although this time it included a variety of very out-of-place warriors, including a pirate, a robot, and a nerd. Best of all, by linking together a couple of consoles with a link cable, you could actually play Gauntlet the way it was meant to be played, with 4 players, a very advanced feature for such an early handheld console. The Lynx also featured many third-party games, including those owned by fellow arcade game producer Midway. Games like the Godzilla-inspired Monster Mash Rampage, the flying ostrich 'em up Joust, and the alien eradication simulator Xenophobe all had very authentic ports to the Lynx, which made it the portable console of choice for arcade game fanatics. Of course, there were also drawbacks to having such advanced technology in a handheld, and in the case of the Lynx, the drawback was battery life. This bad boy could decimate 6AA batteries in less than 4 hours. Not only did this not give you much time to play, but it also got quite expensive. Don't forget that this was way back in 1989 and rechargeable batteries weren't as common or as inexpensive as they are today. As a stopgap for their power problem, Atari released a variety of ridiculous gadgets to help you play longer, including this power pack that held an additional 6 C-cell batteries and allowed for a few hours more game time. Its voracious appetite for batteries wasn't the Lynx's only flaw though. As you can see for yourself, it's massive, and unless you had gigantism of the hands, it was a good bet that the Lynx would be more than a handful for you. It was also the most expensive handheld available at the time, another factor that contributed to its less than stellar market performance. By 1994, Atari had pretty much lost interest in the machine and abandoned it in favour of pursuing the home console market. Now, that should have been the end of the Atari Lynx story, but as it happens, during its short life, the console had attracted a small but dedicated fanbase, and they weren't about to let it go that easily. From the late 90s onwards, a number of independent developers sprung up to support the obsolete console by developing, releasing, and distributing new Lynx games all by themselves. Games like the vocabulary puzzler Lexus, subterranean puzzler Crystal Mines 2, and a hectic interstellar shooter named Remnant all came out of a game studio called Songbird Productions, one of the most prolific names in the indie Lynx scene. So if you have a taste for classic retro gaming on the move, the Atari Lynx could be just the ticket for you. Just make sure you've got the hands of a giant and an unlimited supply of batteries before you leave the house.
Good game.
For years now, we've been teased with trailers, screenshots, leaked information, and hands-off previews of GTA 4. But now it's finally time to take the gloves off and steal some cars.
Back in Russia, Nico crossed the wrong people, made some bad life choices, and did some bad things. Now he's come to the high-paced, high-crime world of Liberty City. He continues to cross the wrong people, do some bad things, and make some bad life choices. But this time he's got a hot date and a sports car.
The first thing that you notice in GTA 4 is how small you really are in this giant city. Previously, Rockstar was limited by hardware, so they had to use tricks to make the world seem bigger. Now that we're on to next gen, you instantly notice how everything is more detailed, exciting, busy, but more importantly, alive.
Grand Theft Auto has always been a game of many parts, and in previous Grand Theft Autos, they've always been an average racer, an average shooter, and an average RPG, but together on the whole, it's formed a much greater game. In Grand Theft Auto 4, everything is kicked up a notch to make a masterpiece of complex, cross-genre awesomeness.
And that's a big call, Badger, but you're right. Everything is better. Let's start with Liberty City itself. There's so much more to explore, and every single location, wall, and hot dog stand has that little bit extra detail. From magazines with funny pun titles to the squeaky noise from the binoculars at lookout points.
You can see it in the decor and the wood grain of the cutscenes, and you can see the steam coming out of the vents. It's also the best rain we've ever seen, being heavier in some places and lighter in others. And if you angle the camera upwards, you get more rain on your screen.
It looks great in standard def as well. And if you really want to be impressed, all you need to do is take a boat ride. The freedom here is remarkable. Sometimes you'll just want to go driving and stick to the speed limit for fun, and sometimes you'll want to steal and crash a helicopter into the Statue of Happiness.
It's not just the locations that make all this work, though.
You know there's no good and no evil. Just shades of gray.
Relationships are an important part of the game. You can choose to ignore this if you want and just concentrate on the missions, but there are certain benefits to making friends, like car services.
Roman is your cousin. Any chance of getting a cab?
You need walk? No longer. There's a cab coming to you.
Badger, tell us about your first date.
Well, it'd been a while, Jung, but I trawled the internet and found a nice young lady, made some calls. However, it all ended in tragedy as my bowling wasn't very impressive. I crashed the car and scared her a little bit, and then we fell into a puddle in a putt-putt course.
Tough break, man.
Well, you know, internet access is cheap in Liberty City, so...
There are more random conversations and situations going on than ever before. And Rockstar's integration of the Euphoria engine means that bumping into people, shooting them, driving through traffic will generate many more unique responses. However, almost all the dialogue has gratuitous swearing in it, and some of the phrases are just plain offensive. There are consequences if you shoot civilians or go on a hit-and-run spree, and it's good to have this freedom, but prostitution in the game as a game mechanic, one that you can use, is an example to me of what some may consider 18-plus content, and in fact, in most countries overseas, it is rated 18-plus.
Real nice. Okay, get in. You mind we go somewhere quiet?
The average age of a gamer isn't 15 anymore, it's getting over 30 now, so shouldn't we be able to play adult games?
It definitely is an adult game, Badge, but the offensive themes are easy to forgive when the rest of the game is so much fun. If you think the car crumple was good in Burnout, then check out this.
You can shoot out tires, windows, the cars explode like they should, and bumpers hang on by a thread. It's not until you get your first sports car that you start driving with a bit of respect. Well, that is until you find the sports car shop in the second island. We could go on about the detail in the game for another 10 minutes, but I think it's time we got to the missions.
Stealing cars, racing cars, performing hits, interrogating gangsters, taking out an entire union uprising, the list goes on. All of your missions have a point and they're inspired. And there's no repetition so far. Every mission has had a cool, unique element. Your mobile is the biggest change to the series, and it controls your life in many ways. You can set up meetings, dates, receive texts, or even call the fire department if you want to steal a fire engine. And you can even download ringtones, and just like in real life, they're a total rip-off.
With all these different systems interacting with each other, the game still runs fairly smooth.
Multiplayer features the standard deathmatch and team deathmatch, plus a cops versus robbers scenario, races, and a few new features as well. The best part of multiplayer, though, is the ability to customize all the weather effects and the radar visibility and auto-aim, everything.
Purists will want to turn off auto-aim pretty quick, but that doesn't mean that cars are overpowered, because one well-placed bullet into a windshield means game over for the driver. There's also nothing like setting up that perfect sniper shot and then suddenly get hit by a car before you pull the trigger.
Like in other GTAs, at times when you're driving along, the camera in third person kind of feels a bit delayed, and it can take a few seconds to see where you're going. This really only becomes a problem in multiplayer, though, when you're in a tight spot.
I guess it's there to stop you from getting too dizzy if the camera was moving all over the place, but it would have been nice to have some sort of camera tracking options.
Regardless though, Badge, it is definitely a technical achievement how all of these systems work together. And there's so much that we haven't even talked about in depth, like the music and how the detail in the models goes right down to the ears and the fingernails.
How the camera pulls focus to illustrate speed, how the police system has been fixed, and how the GPS system works, but you can still see that technically they've got room to move for a sequel.
How shooting someone in the eye actually makes them hold their eye, how you can go into slow motion whenever you want. But I think we should actually start to wrap this up, Badge.
Yes, Junglers. You know, I don't want to sound like an old fogey, but I actually found a lot of the swearing a little bit too much, and it would have been nice to have some sort of filter to limit this. However, you can't deny the fun here. There's freedom, it's full of surprises. I'm giving it 10 out of 10 rubber gangster chickens.
Newcomers to the series might find the first few hours pretty slow-paced, and there is a lot of running around, but you can play this game how you want to. You can read every line of every joke, or you can race through the story as fast as you can. But there is a lot more here than meets the eye. I'm giving it 9.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Good game!
So gamers, did you guess the game for this week? It was Super Soccer, released on the Nintendo Entertainment System in the early 90s.
The game was innovative thanks to its unique perspective. You could see the opposition's goal from anywhere in the field. The game also featured an excellent penalty shootout mode, which is still considered one of the best across any system. With just a touch of hubris, in tournament mode the final team to beat was called Nintendo, and if you managed this you won a code to play the game on a harder difficulty.
Tissue time, Junglers, we must say goodbye for another week.
Next week we'll be taking a look at some of the hardest games ever produced.
And we'll be looking at the Power-Up. It's a classic gaming convention, but where did it begin?
All that plus Badjo tackles his bulge and Wii Fit, and don't forget to get involved in the Good Game game. Till next week, gamers, Junglist out.
Badjo out.